to you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to ask each one of you to put your cell phones away for the next few minutes, just turn them off, put them up, because I'd really like to have your attention so we can tell you about BizKids and what we do. BizKids is modeled after the children's program they do at the Betty Ford Center. Jerry Moe is my friend and my mentor. We use all his published materials. We use all his games, his children's models that he's learned over 30 years. We didn't reinvent the wheel. I want you to understand that. We are a 2-day day camp. We are an event for children. We have the children for 12 hours, and we do events on the weekends. It's just wonderful because the kids have a great time. We do the events at a hotel most of the time, so they have the swimming pool, and we have pizza brought in. And it's an event. It's a day camp for kids. And we teach children about the disease of addiction. We use age-appropriate language, games, play, music, artwork, role-playing to teach kids about addiction. One of the first books that we read to the children was written by Jerry Moe, and it's learning about addiction. We use Beamer, the light bulb boy. The kids just love Beamer. And we teach them about what is addiction. And Leslie's going to share some concepts with you that we found to be very powerful in these kids learning. Go ahead.
We first introduced Beamer, but Beamer has a book that goes with him. In fact, he has 12 books. This is 3 books right here. You can see they're small, but the children love Beamer. Beamer has parents who have addiction, and that's one of the concepts that we use with the children is if their family member has addiction, like they have a cold. And it allows the children not to see their parents as demons. We don't demonize their parents, but it lets the children know their parents have a sickness if the parent is the identified addict in the family. But furthermore, something that we talk about in BizKids is that when you have addiction, and we do this with the kids, we go to the wall and we say addiction makes you trapped and stuck and hooked and you can't get away. And the only way you can get away is if you stay, stop, or help. And that's the only way you can get away from addiction. We have a mask, and it's called the addiction monster. And the addiction monster will grab you and won't let you away until you say, stop or help. And then you can get away from the addiction monster. And it lets the children know that the addict themselves have to want to get help. And it's the only way to break that severe trapped or hooked. Importantly, we ask the children, often the first day, so several hours into the program, and we say, we want you to write down, and we pass out paper, we're all at the table, and we say, tell us what addiction is. And then the kids say, it's when you get trapped and stuck. And they literally can parrot that out. Because they're so young, this is their first introduction into any of these concepts, they get it. They get it instantly. And they get it instantly, especially if their families have addiction.
Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that children are going to be exposed to addiction. It affects children of all classes. It's in the schools, it's in the communities, it's in their homes, it's in their neighborhoods. We see it all the time. All children are going to be exposed to the disease of addiction. And the disease of addiction affects more children than any other disease in America. And it affects children in isolation. So it's very important that we teach the concept of what is addiction. And I didn't invent this. This is Jerry Moe's model. But we teach the kids about the backpack full of rocks. Come up here. I want you to pick up the backpack. You can do it. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, could Could you run a touchdown carrying that backpack? Could you go swimming in the ocean?
No.
No. Could you ride your bike carrying that backpack? No.
Soccer.
Come on, here. Pick up the backpack. Could you kick a soccer goal carrying that backpack around running?
Depends on who I'm playing.
Some of the guys will say, yeah, I can do that. But you can see it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. Come on, pick it up. We have the kids pick this up. We talked to them about it. Yeah, you're a big, strong guy. You can run a touchdown carrying it. Some of the kids, we make them carry it around the room, and some of them do it just like this. This is so heavy for them. And what we teach them is that someone who is abusing a substance is carrying around this backpack. And they get just, oh, that's why they do that. So the longer they abuse, the longer they carry this backpack around, the heavier it gets. So they have to drink more, smoke more, take more pills. And the kids get that concept so quickly. So then, this is the cornerstone of the whole weekend, is the backpack robot. We teach this very first. We bring the rocks out, and we talk about confused, secrets, lonely, shame, guilt, anger, sadness, embarrassed, fear. We bring all these rocks out of the backpack and we talk about it. Hurt, abuse. And we talk to the kids about it. And then they carry the backpack around and see how light it is. And they really get the concept that it's the rocks that are making the person abuse the substance. So we separate the disease from the person. And what's so interesting, we find that when the kids are allowed to talk about it, like there's one in here scared or confused. We had two little girls recently that were sharing about, they were really scared when one little girl came home from school and her mom was asleep on the couch. She takes these pills sometimes. And she couldn't wake up her mom. And she was so scared because she didn't know if she should call her Nana or 911 or what she should do. She just didn't know. And then another child shared in the same group about, she came home one day and her dad was in the floor asleep. And she came home from school. And she didn't know if she should call 911 because she couldn't wake him up. And he smelled like beer. And she just didn't know what to do. She just didn't know what to do. Come up here. The very next time we had a play period when the kids go out, because these are children, okay? We teach a concept and we go play. And we teach a concept and then we go play. So the very next time we went out to play, these two little girls were like best friends because they had heard their story. They weren't alone anymore. They shared a common feeling. And that's what we talk about, is those feelings. So they were just like best friends the whole rest of the day. It was so wonderful to see that. And they get it so quickly with the backpack. The children understand. Oh, that's why they do that. And one of the things we find working, these kids are not using, okay? What we work with them on is the effects of addiction in their life. And how we had a little girl in Santa Ana a few months back, 11 years old, in the 6th grade. One of her classmates had OD'd on heroin and died. Okay? We did Biz Kids at Huntington Beach. We had 14 children that weekend for that event. And every child that was in that event, they come from a very high-risk element of society, a lot of gangs and a lot of drugs in that community. Every child in BizKids that weekend had a loved one, somebody they loved in their family, incarcerated because of drugs and alcohol. They had somebody in jail. And these children, you know, they don't have an opportunity to process this or understand. And we believe that education is the way to the other side. And we talk to the kids about what can happen in their goals and dreams if they stay free of alcohol and drugs. And they really get this concept so quickly. You want to add something?
Sure. I'd love to talk about the Beamer book. And as I described, Beamer's parents have addiction. Who we see, the shadowy character right here, is the addiction monster. And the kids love this concept, and they love to put on the addiction monster mask and play act grabbing the person. But they get it that addiction grabs you and gets you trapped and stuck and hooked. So Beamer's a light bulb. So every character in the book has to do like Miss Bulb and stuff like that. But at the beginning of the book, the color of his face changes according to his feeling. So we showed the kids all the colors of the feelings. And as we move through the book, Beamer's face changes color. And we can say, oh, so what's he feeling now? And they'll go, happy, or sad, or scared. And they get it. It's almost immediate that they get that. They love it. There's the color. So the very first story here is that Beamer's parents forget to sign his permission slip to go on a field trip. And they forget to sign his permission slip because they're loaded. So they both were mandated into treatment. It doesn't say that, but from my perspective, they were mandated into treatment. And the dad doesn't get sober, but the mom does. But one time when they were using, here they are, it was, I think, some tipped over beer or something. And they forgot to sign his permission slip. So the kids relate to this. So what happens to Beamer is he has to go to the principal's office while all the other kids get to go on the field trip, and feels out of it and alone. And kids understand that idea. And especially because it's an idea that it's the result of addiction. As the story goes, the addiction monster is there, especially as Beamer feels sad and alone. And it tells the concept that when we feel alone and sad and afraid, that we're at high risk for addiction. And the kids understand that. And I love this picture. So the addiction monster is pouring the martini into the martini glass. It's a cute picture, but terrible. So eventually, Beamer's dad goes to jail. And as Victoria said, that in the BizKids that we did in the Resource Center, that with the high prevalence of children who have a family, they can really relate to that concept. So the mom gets into it. And in Beamer books, they call it T&R, treatment and recovery. And so when we talk about that with the children, we say, what's T&R? Well, treatment and recovery. And they learn. And at least we're introducing those concepts to them of how they can get better and be empowered with their life.
We use the whole Beamer series. There's 12 of the comic books. But this is a wonderful book that we use. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It says, Think of When. And it talks about, it says, let the voices of the children be heard. It says, my dad is sick. He is an alcoholic and I don't like it. An alcoholic doesn't have a fever or a rash. It's a disease you can't see, but you sure can feel it. You can tell a person has it by the way they act. Think of when. You can't see when, but you can see the way it makes trees act. Lots of times I'm afraid because I don't know what's going to happen. When my dad teaches me things or helps me or fixes a toy, we have fun. Then the fun stops. My parents get angry and I don't understand why. It feels like I did something wrong. Those are the times when my father can't understand what I'm saying or what to do next. If I tell him what to do next, I'm acting like his parent. I'm only a kid. At times he falls asleep in the middle of what he's doing. It could be eating dinner or even driving. Sometimes we all pretend together that everything's okay. Or Dad just needed to rest all of a sudden. When my dad is that way, my mom is different too. She cries easily and doesn't have very much patience when I need something or I make a mistake. When Dad's not acting confused, angry, or tired, I never know when he will start again. This is confusing for me. I get angry and sad too. I don't know when I feel safe. Sometimes I cry or throw things or keep hitting the table, even if one of my parents says stop. Sometimes I wake up in the night, sometimes my stomach hurts. Sometimes I don't want to play or do anything. A wonderful thing happened today. A kid at school told me that his mom is sick like my dad. Now I know that other families have trouble like mine. I'm not so ashamed because they know how I feel. It's not a secret anymore. It makes me feel better knowing that I'm not the only one. The children get this concept very quickly. They understand. And what we run into a lot with some of these kids is siblings. They're siblings that are like at this treatment facility, the adolescents, brothers and sisters. They really are sad that they are not available for them anymore, or they're using, or they're going out late at night, sneaking out of the house and come back smelling like alcohol. They're really worried about their brothers and sisters. You want to start that?
Yeah. Before I start the slideshow, I want to talk about some of the artwork that I've seen, that we've seen in Biz Kids. So we have an assignment at one point in our schedule that we sit the kids down with paper and colors, crayons, and they have to draw a picture of someone they know who has addiction. And if they've not been exposed to drugs or alcohol, they do a general picture. A car crash or something, or don't drink, or something like that. But if they have been exposed, they're so poignant that it just tears your heart. So we had a little girl, she's about 9, and she drew a picture of a front door with a mat on her front door, a straw mat with flowers in the corners, and her dad laying down with vomit coming out of his mouth. And guarantee she'd never had time to express that early. And sometimes the children cry after they've drawn the picture because it's just such an emotional experience. I had a mom who swore up and down her son didn't know she was using drugs. And the son was 10 years old, and he drew a picture. His mom smoked methamphetamine, and he drew a picture of himself in his Superman pajamas, and a pizza box across the room, and clouds of smoke above his head. And that was the child who knew nothing but that his mother did, except he knew everything. I saw a hand go up there, but it's just somebody standing outside. I was like, And anyway, so it's just like heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And that's just one of the activities. And then they draw the picture and then we go out and play, because that's just how it goes. Because you can't stay at that level of intensity and not with the children. How many? The National Institute of Health states that 1 out of every 4 kids in the U.S. lives in a home where a loved one is struggling with alcoholism or drug abuse. Wow, it's pretty amazing. Of course, the loved one could be any relative at all, friend, sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandparent, or a parent. National Center of Alcohol and Substance Abuse stated in March of 2010 that half of all American children live in a home where a family member uses tobacco, drinks heavily, or uses illicit drugs.
But we talk to the children about nicotine, we talk about alcohol, we talk about street drugs, and we talk about prescription drugs.
23.7% of children live in a household where a family member is a binge or heavy drinker, and 12.7% of children live in a household where a parent or other adult uses illicit drugs.
This is a real problem, ladies and gentlemen.
So we have a friend who is a 6th grade teacher, and she says that about a third of the kids in 6th grade have already experimented with alcohol, and some of those have already experimented with pot. Oh, today all kids are exposed to addiction in some way and need prevention services. It may be in the school, community, or home. So we were talking earlier, Jenny and Kai, and about some of the denial that we see with school districts and with parents. We live in South Orange County, and what we see is, oh, that's a great subject, but that's not relevant to my kid. Except that we know that it is, because we know the amount of heroin overdoses that have occurred in South Orange County. And of course, heroin wasn't just used in isolation, it's with all other substances. So, cycle of addiction. Children living with a loved one that abuses a substance are 4 times likelier to use alcohol or develop alcohol-related problems. And these children tend to initiate alcohol use earlier and engage in problem drinking at a younger age. So, data shows that if a child begins drinking before age 15, that there's a 50% chance they'll become alcoholic. Now, you can think about that if they start using smokable methamphetamine, smokable cocaine, that because those are so much more profoundly addictive, that addiction will take hold almost instantly. A risk factor for a child being abused is alcoholism or addiction in the home. Children feel responsible for a loved one's drinking or drug use. So we're going to go over one of the activities that we do that highlight, and we will show you, but that shows how children are not responsible. We teach the kids we how to go with alcohol. So this is some of the artwork that kids do. Wow. Pretty self-explanatory. So here's the 7 C's of addiction, and we teach the kids this. We go over it. The first is, I didn't cause it. Another person's addiction can never be a kid's fault. We know that kids personalize and feel that it's their responsibility when they're just developmental. The next one is, I can't control it. They choose to use or not to use. Remember our trapped, hooked, and stuck? That's that person's responsibility to use or not use. It's never the child's responsibility. So this is just beginning to show these kids these concepts. it's a disease and can come back, but people get better. So this all goes in line with the trapped, hooked, and stuck, right? That person has to say stop or help. I can't cure it, it's on them. So these are the positive parts of the 7 C's. I can help take care of myself. My number one responsibility is to be a kid. And I can communicate my feelings by talking, drawing, and writing. I can make healthy choices by choosing not to use drugs or alcohol, and I can celebrate myself. So we have an activity. Should I talk about the bags here?
Let's go on.
Okay. Everything ties in with everything else, so we can interject at any point, anything, right? So children equate drinking and drug use with not being loved, and why is that? Kids need attention, and when their parents are giving attention to something else, they obviously feel that they're not being attended to.
This is original artwork we're sharing with you from the children. So you can see it's pretty self-explanatory. How addiction affected my life. It broke my heart in half.
You know, every time I see these pictures, it always just stabs me in my heart. Every single time that I see letters. So broken hearts, broken promises, broken bottles equals broken people.
This one says, you're stupid. I wish you were never born. I love you. Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Forgot to sign your permission slip. Children fear the loved one that abuses alcohol and drugs will get sick or die. There's many pictures of car crashes. There was one child who said in his letter to addiction, to his mom, you made me hate cars because his father had died in a car crash. Or in his letter to addiction.
This is a great example. This is, you know, my mom, my brother, me, hockey stuff here in the back. And she's hit a car. Where did she go?
We know that children feel angry when their family members abuse drugs and alcohol and self-explanatory. Lies, tears, no fun.
Hurt. This is original artwork you guys are seeing. We didn't draw this and put it up here. This is from the kids.
Children are embarrassed by the loved one behavior. Children never know what to expect. Hold on right there. So I one time had a little girl, and in her picture of someone she knew who had addiction, she drew her mother. Oh wait, I gotta give you a little background. So she came into Biz Kids, she was brought by her grandmother. And I just conversationally, oh, where's your mom? Oh, she's, and this little girl, 8, whispered to me, she's in the chains. And I started talking to her, and it turns out her mom was indeed incarcerated. And she was so ashamed, she couldn't even say it. She had to whisper. And so in her picture of someone she knew who had addiction, she drew her mom laying on a couch. There were tipped bottles of alcohol on the floor, a big ashtray with 3 cigarettes sticking straight up, and clouds of smoke coming out of her mouth. And I was just, oh my gosh, and that little girl. And I don't know that anyone ever she had an outlet to express that. That's pretty touching.
Addiction, how it hurt my family. Look at the tears. And someone passed out. And their dad in jail.
Inconsistency, right, in the addict's behavior.
This is very interesting. Look what's in between the broken heart liquor bottles.
Wow. Yeah.
Look at this one. See how big the beer is? And mom and dad, look at the little kids standing back over here.
They're all running.
They're all running, the mom and dad's running towards the beer.
Common beliefs for the disease of addiction. It's not okay to talk about feelings. So we know that with the backpack full of rocks, right? The person who's abusing substances is pushing all their feelings down. And we teach the kids that, and they get it. Sometimes we'd ask the kids at the end of Biz Kids, what's your favorite part? What was your favorite part of Biz Kids? And sometimes they say, the backpack. Pretty cute, right? It's such a profound concept. And I was discussing earlier how these concepts can be used for any age. Like you can present this in a treatment center with 30-year-olds. They get it. And I say that because these are concepts. They're not, they're just not. So the 6-year-olds get it, the 12-year-olds get it at their level. And a 30-year-old could get it too because this is just concept. Unrealistic expectations. Don't be selfish. These are all the negative feelings. It's not okay to play or be playful. That's why we tell the kids, one of those 7 C's is, it's important to be a kid. Be a child, be a kid. Have fun and play. Don't rock the boat's a message in a family with addiction. Don't talk, don't feel, don't trust. Here's our bag of rocks. So we know common challenges for children, and we already explored it with Beamer, with the backpack, is behavioral challenges. Kids act out, we know that. Kids act out and resist that. If you're not being attended to at home, you're going to act out in other ways at home, on the playground, etc. Emotional, medical, and psychiatric, and educational. We know addiction affects everything. Same behavioral and emotional issues, guilt, shame, confusion, ambivalence, fear, mistrust, insecurity. So that little girl who drew her mom on the couch, tipped over, and the bottle was tipped over, you can just imagine her feeling all these things: depression, anxiety, fear, guilt, shame, maybe a bit young for an eating disorder, but if those feelings fester in her, it's coming. Medical and psychiatric. So we know that all these things have a higher prevalence of kids who are exposed to addiction in their families. So injuries, poisoning, substance abuse, mental disorders, GI, gastrointestinal and respiratory issues that they have. Educational challenges. learning disabilities, children repeating grades. They attend more schools, and they have higher rates of truancy, delinquency, dropping out of school, pregnancy, expulsion, institutionalization. Help is available.
This is a child's view of recovery. This is addiction. There's no leaves or flowers on the tree. And this is recovery. We do a parent workshop with the parents. The parents come in, the kids come Saturday and Sunday from 8:30 to 3. And then on Sunday afternoon, the parents come in and we teach them everything we've taught their children. So we encourage them to write a letter to their children. And some of the things I heard you say, I'm sorry, my hopes and dreams for you are. And we do an exercise where the children read their letter to addiction to their parents. And they write 5 things they love about their parents. And the parents in the workshop write 5 things they love about their children. And they get to share that with each other throughout the group. And let me tell you, sometimes that's the hardest part of the weekend. Kids are not used to hearing accolades about themselves. And they'll just break down.
And parents aren't used to writing. And sometimes we've had parents, what do you want me to say? You want me to say they should do their homework? It's a big leap over about trying to say things that they love about their child because they don't use that language. So breaking the don't talk rule. Talk to your children in age-appropriate language. Age-appropriate manner about drug and alcohol addiction, which is what we do in Biz Kids. And I don't know what they do in DARE. It's not Biz Kids. I definitely know that. If there is addiction in the family, tell them before they are adolescents. Work on communication skills as a family and one-on-one.
We hear so many parents. We had a woman, the last Biz Kids we did a couple of weeks ago, a mother. She came up after the event and she said, I've been married to 2 alcoholics. My father was an alcoholic and I've never known how to talk to my kids about alcoholism. Alcoholism is a multi-generational disease. And our goal is, I believe the only way to the other side of that is education and talking and letting people know that it's not a moral issue. It is a disease. I had a therapist call me from Orange County a couple of years back, and she had a little boy she was working with in the county, and he was 9 years old. He'd been to Biz Kids a year before. He was 8 years old, and he told her all about the addiction monster that grabs you and you have to say stop or help. He told her all about he didn't cause addiction, he couldn't cure it. He just had to take care of himself. And he told her the most important thing he learned about in Biz Kids, and this had been a year he'd been to Biz Kids. The very most important thing he learned was if the dad, he didn't say my dad, but if the dad has the disease of addiction, it doesn't mean he doesn't love his little boy. And I think it's wonderful that children learn this when they're 8, 9, instead of when they're 50 or 60. Make promises you can keep. Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Be consistent and fair with rules and consequences. Trust yourself to make good decisions for your children. Trust others and seek help when you don't know what to do.
Breaking the don't feel rule. We tell kids all feelings are okay. Acting on them may not be appropriate, but you can have a feeling. We let them know to be aware of their own feelings, i.e. the backpack full of rocks. Be aware of them and let them out. Do model your feelings appropriately. Avoid yelling and other displays of violence. to hear you're not alone. You're not responsible for anyone's addiction. It's not your fault. You can't control anyone's drinking or drug use. Things can be better for you if you don't use drugs or alcohol. And all of your feelings are okay. Children have the capacity to spring back, rebound, successfully adapt in the face of adversity, and develop social confidence despite exposure to stress.
And that's me.
Yeah. Okay, let's show the.
One of the things we do, we have the children make a safe bag. We teach the kids on Sunday. Saturday is all about teaching about the disease of addiction. And Sunday we teach skills, self-care skills. How to take care of their body, their mind, their spirit. And we have cards and everything with their numbers on it. So I just wanted you guys to see me jump in rope. But we're gonna make a safe bag here, so you guys will have it. The kids take this home with them, and they put 3x5 cards, ways that they can take care. You want to pass some of those out?
Yeah, but first what we do is we sit them down with colors and a bag, and we have them color the bag, make it their own. And kids are very effusive and decorate it. We have stickers and whatever, drawings and flowers or cards or whatever they want. And then once we do that, we have cards. And this goes back to the 7 C's. We have them write ways they can take care of themselves on it. So we do it with body, mind, and spirit.
So we're going to pass out 3x5 cards, and take 3 and pass them around. We have plenty. And I'm going to tell you a story. While we're doing this, I'm going to tell you a little story. Take a bag. We're all going to make a safe bag. So you go home, you'll have some tools that you can use. Take a bag and pass it around. 3 cards. How you take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit.
We write how to take care of our body and mind and spirit.
3 cards, 1 on each card. You need a bag? You need cards? Get 3 cards. You can decorate your bag. We give the kids our phone number, and they can call us anytime. I take the phone on the weekends. They have somebody to call. We had a little boy call his kids. He had his safe bag. He called, and I answered the phone, and he said, "I'm really scared. My stepdad is drunk again, and I'm really scared." And I said, "Well, I'm really sorry that's happening to you, but let's talk about ways that you can stay safe. How can you take care of yourself?" And he said, "Well, I went to my safe bag, and I pulled out a card, and it said, 'Call somebody you trust,' and that's why I'm calling you guys." So how do you take care of your body? Put that on 1 3x5 card. How do you take care of your mind? And how do you take care of your spirit? And we play games with children that give them these tools, and they know. So they go home with solutions. That's what Biz Kids stand for. Believe in success, believe in solutions, and believe in sobriety. We scholarship all the children. I want you to know that. We have corporate sponsors. We have people that donate scholarships. I have a consulting firm that I have funded Biz Kids for years. So we don't, we're 501(c)(3). We have a golf tournament every year to raise money. So it's all paid for all the children. So we turn away no one.
Feel free to decorate your bag.
And then, did you get a bag?
No.
Oh.
My goodness. Anyone else? Did everyone get a bag? We
have, I'm going to pass out some flyers. These are all our events that are scheduled in Orange County. We've done LA County. We do Orange County once a month. It's open to first come, first serve.
We went to the rescue mission in LA.
We did the mission in LA. It's all on our website. If you want to refer children up to, a lot of times we have kids that come as far as St. Louis, New York, Washington State. But we're available to all children. Brian, are you in charge of this group? Are you in charge? We have a gift for you today. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
This is
Original child artwork. Now, all the children leave. We have a Believe bracelet that the children wear, and I broke mine in the shower this morning. So, but they all get a bracelet, and they get it. It says believe in yourselves, believe in each other, believe in dreams, believe in laughter, believe in possibilities, believe in help, believe in joy, believe in love, believe in goodness, believe in miracles, believe in peace, and believe in the children. And they get this to take with them. And they all get a Jerry Moe's book one day at a time for kids. Like today is February the 10th. And one day at a time it says, I am a child of God with many special talents. And it's written just for kids. So they get to read this one day at a time. Is it anybody's birthday today? You have a question?
Yeah, I just think,
Okay.
do the kids go more than like one weekend, or?
You know, they can come back, but
Okay.
we do it on a first come, first served basis. Yes.
So mine's kind of a two-part. So I heard you saying we have scholarships and all that. Do you have a lot of different organizations and agencies that they work with that they refer the kids to? And then along with it, what I'm hearing is it's a two-day event.
It's a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday.
What do you know about the kids, especially about not talking, keeping secrets, having difficulty trusting? How do you maximize and build what you want to build with these kids in that short time to really help them accomplish as much as they can? What are the how do you help with that process?
Well, I'm going to back up and just give you a little background on these. So at the Betty Ford Center, which their children's program, which we modeled this kids on, so they have, it's 5 days, right?
4 days.
4 days. There was no way that we could have a program in 4 days. So we had to adjust it and create it to the community that we work in. And we made it the most adaptable that we could. So just that. It's amazing though in the program that the kids' defenses start to break down. And we've had it that kids that we were 100% certain have been exposed to drugs and alcohol not come back for the second day. And so we know that there's gaps to it, but we also know it is so profoundly successful what we see in those 2 days. Just that. So I hope that answered your question.
The way it works at Betty Ford is people come for treatment and they spend a fortune for a month or whatever it is. And then they have to come, the children's program is another event that they pay extra for, that they come back for another time, okay? Jerry Moe is my friend and my mentor, so we use all his books, we use all his materials, he's got published books, games. We didn't reinvent the wheel, okay? They do a 4-day event there, and then these kids come from all over the country. They're not local kids in Palm Springs. But we did, we applied for a grant about 3 years ago, and we didn't get it, but they wanted to know what what is their research history, you know? What is their success? We don't have the money to pay for that, you know? We don't know. We're just out there doing this program. We see what it does for kids. So I called Jerry at the Betty Ford Center, and I figured Betty Ford, Rancho Mirage, Republicans, they've tracked it some way. They know how to do that. And sure enough, they had a group of graduate students that followed 150 kids that had been through the children's program at the Betty Ford Center. And they found and they followed these kids through high school, just through high school. And they found a 60% reduction in alcohol and drug use just in that group of kids.
So part of Biz Kids is delaying the onset of, not that it's inevitable, I don't mean to say that, but if you can just make it later,
Push that
push it down the
marijuana
line.
cigarette till those little brains get through high school.
And so what do we know are the developmental milestones or just the goals of those ages is to get school, 8th grade, high school. And we know that adults are far better if they have these. We know that. So we know that this is like societal building, sociological perspective on this, how it helps society lift it up. When I was talking about the 50% of individuals who begin drinking before age 15 and 50% will be alcoholic, well, what if you push that age to 16 or 17? So it's suddenly going to drop down. Because we know that minds are very affected, developing minds in adolescence are very much affected by drugs and alcohol, just because we're not completely.
I had a Hispanic mother call me recently, and her 2 kids had been through Biz Kids. She lived up in Santa Ana, somewhere in Orange County. And she called me on the phone. She's so precious. She said, Miss Victoria, I want to thank you so much, so much. My kids, they go to Biz Kids. They come home. They talk about Addiction Monster. Next weekend, my family, they come to my house. They bring their music. They bring their beer. My kids come home. They go, the Addiction Monster! The Addiction Monster! She said, my family, they take their beer. They go home. Oh, Miss Victoria, thank you. These kids, they learn. They learn.
They do, they get it, they get these concepts. So we do a survey, this is for the children, and we also have one for the parents. So for the kids, we have a pre and post test. The pre-test includes, it's 10 questions, so I might smoke cigarettes when I get older, yes, don't know, maybe yes or no. If I have a choice, I might try drugs. I think I will drink alcohol when I get old enough. It's okay to use drugs if you don't get caught. So we have the kids answer all these, and we also have a post-test with follow-up questions. And for the adults, we do post-test also. And it says like, I have talked to my kids about drugs and alcohol previously. I learned from Biz Kids, whatever information, and it's really helpful. And the comments from the parents, it usually is, I think you should have more of these, and I think you should do it for teenagers, and we're working on it.
Generally, how many kids do you have just in the sessions?
20 maybe, or 10
10,
less.
yeah, we try to keep small groups. They feel safer and they open up more.
So they come in one day and they go home and they come back the next day?
Yes.
It's a 2-day day camp. It's an event.
Is there a specific, like as far as the age, like,
7 to 12.
I know generally you get like 10-year-olds or?
It's all ranges.
It really
We'll
is.
take a mature 6-year-old and we'll take an immature 13-year-old. So it just depends. The games that we have are kind of gauged in that range. Does anybody have a birthday this month? Does anybody have? You do?
Oh,
Come on, we'll get a book.
May I borrow?
You're the winner of everything.
I know.
You did.
Any other questions about, we're open, yes?
I'm actually pretty new about this. I'm actually not a therapist or anything, but I'm trying to get into learn to it. Does Biz Kids have an opportunity to volunteer or intern?
We do, we would be interested, but we work with the children. The thing about Biz Kids is it's all donated scholarships. We have corporate funding, my friends. We do golf tournaments. I funded the program myself. Biz Kids is the result of my own child, my son, was killed in an automobile accident in 2005, an alcohol-related automobile accident. And the woman driving the car was a drunk driver, and she was 24 years old. My son was 30. And she had had a history of drug and alcohol abuse since age 12. So when I got over that train that had hit my heart, I really wanted something good and positive and to represent my son's life and death on this planet. So Biz Kids is a result of that horrible family tragedy. We wanted this to be a reference. So he's the inspiration behind Biz Kids. And we do have interns, but we have no paid staff. Everybody comes in, they work, when they work the weekends, they get paid for that, but we don't. All the money that comes in, we take it and go do scholarships for children.
And as far as interns don't get paid.
Yeah, most
Most interns don't get paid, so that part's not.
Well, I pay, if they work with the children, I'll pay them.
Yeah, it's a
Extra
stipend, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but as far as like, I'm pretty sure I can find it on the website, but as far as like volunteer opportunities go. is
You know,
there-
the people that work with us, you can volunteer at the golf tournament, but they're clinical, like Leslie, they're staff, they know, we might run into a child that's been sexually abused, and we gotta have people that know how to deal with that. So our assistants are all trained, our clinical people are all trained, they work with children, and, you know, they know they're, is it reporting, required reporting, and so. Yeah, so we gotta have people that are working with the kids that know